The drama unfolded faster than anyone could have anticipated. Young Jock, known for his temper and no-nonsense attitude, reached a breaking point that left everyone in shock. After Kirk and Kendra's private tape leaked online, tensions exploded, and the fallout was immediate. What started as a personal betrayal turned into a public spectacle, and no one was prepared for the intensity of the moment. Fans across social media were glued to their screens as whispers turned into viral clips, shares, and heated debates. Young Jock's reaction was explosive. In a moment of raw emotion, he kicked Kendra out of their shared space, making it clear that enough was enough. His words were sharp, his frustration undeniable. "I'm done." It wasn't just a breakup. It was a statement, a declaration that boundaries had been crossed and trust had been shattered beyond repair. The weight of the leaked tape and the betrayal it represented had pushed him to the edge, and there was no turning back. Kendra, caught in the middle of the chaos, tried to process what was happening. The humiliation was public, the betrayal personal, and the tension in the room palpable. Friends and family looked on, some shocked, some whispering into their phones, capturing every angle of the confrontation. The energy was intense, the emotions raw, and the stakes higher than ever. This wasn't just a fight. It was a turning point that would have long-lasting consequences for everyone involved. Fans quickly flooded social media with reactions. Some sympathized with young Joss, applauding his decision to take a stand and protect himself from betrayal. Others debated Kendra's side of the story, wondering what led to the leak and whether the situation could have been handled differently. The conversation was immediate, heated, and unrelenting, showing just how invested the public had become in this unfolding saga. As the drama intensified, it became clear that this was more than a personal dispute. It was a lesson in trust, boundaries, and the consequences of exposing private matters to the public eye. Young Jock's decision to kick Kendra out was a bold move, one that sent a message not just to her, but to anyone watching. Actions have consequences, and some lines, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. This is a story about betrayal, heartbreak, and the explosive fallout of private moments going public. It's a front row seat to a real-life drama that has everyone talking, debating, and waiting to see what happens next. The tension, the raw emotion, and the public spectacle all combine to make this one of the most talked-about confrontations in recent celebrity history. The tension in the room was almost unbearable from the moment the news broke. Fans on social media had already caught wind of the leaked tape, and speculation was spreading like wildfire. Kirk and Kendra's private moments, which were never meant for public eyes, had somehow ended up online, and the consequences were immediate. For young Jock, it was the ultimate betrayal. He had trusted Kendra, believed in their relationship, and valued the privacy they shared. But now, everything had been exposed in a way that humiliated him publicly. From the start, the atmosphere was thick with unease. Every glance, every movement, and every conversation seemed loaded with tension. Young Jock's friends and family could sense that he was on edge. His usually calm demeanor had been replaced with a restless energy, his jaw tight, and his eyes constantly scanning the room for any hint of disrespect or betrayal. Kendra, on the other hand, seemed torn between guilt and confusion. She understood the gravity of the leak, but she struggled to navigate young Jock's overwhelming anger. The night the confrontation escalated was unlike any other. They had gathered for what was supposed to be a calm discussion, a chance to talk, clear the air, and figure out how to handle the fallout. But as soon as the topic of the tape came up, all pretense of calm vanished. Young Jock's voice, usually measured, grew sharper and more intense. "Do you realize what you've done? This isn't just about us anymore. Everyone's seen it. Everyone." His words struck like thunder in the room, leaving Kendra momentarily speechless. Kendra attempted to explain, to apologize, but the damage had already been done. The public nature of the leak meant that every word, every expression, and every reaction would be scrutinized online. Young Jock's frustration wasn't just about the betrayal, it was about the humiliation, the loss of control, and the sense that his private life had been stolen from him. He paced back and forth, the tension in his body palpable, and his friends exchanged worried glances. The confrontation intensified quickly. Young Jock's anger, fueled by a mix of betrayal and embarrassment, reached a breaking point. He raised his voice, making it clear that there was no room for compromise. "I can't believe this. I trusted you, and this is how you repay me. I'm done." The finality of his words echoed in the room, leaving Kendra stunned. This wasn't a simple argument. It was a declaration that the relationship had crossed an irreversible threshold. Friends and onlookers tried to intervene to calm the situation, but young Jock was beyond reason. His decision had been made. The anger and hurt were too deep. In a dramatic moment that would be replayed in clips online for days, he made the move that shocked everyone. He kicked Kendra out. There was no hesitation, no room for negotiation. The act was both a symbolic and literal gesture, signaling the end of trust and the closure of a chapter that had been marred by a betrayal. The intensity of the moment was compounded by the presence of others in the room. Family members, friends, and acquaintances watched as the confrontation unfolded. Some were visibly shocked, others whispered rapidly into their phones, capturing every detail, and some tried to mediate only to be pushed aside. The energy was raw, volatile, and impossible to ignore. Everyone present knew that this was more than a simple dispute. It was a turning point, a moment that would define relationships, reputations, and social media conversations for weeks to come. Kendra, meanwhile, struggled to process what had just happened. The combination of public exposure and personal rejection created a whirlwind of emotions. She felt guilt for her role in the leak, anger at the circumstances that had led to it, and deep sadness at the realization that her relationship with young Jock might be over. Every step she took away from the confrontation felt heavy, the weight of the situation pressing down on her shoulders. Social media reacted almost immediately. Fans posted clips, shared screenshots, and debated every nuance of the incident. Some sided with young Jock, praising him for standing up for himself and refusing to tolerate betrayal. Others sympathized with Kendra, analyzing the circumstances and questioning who was truly at fault. The story went viral, trending across multiple platforms as viewers dissected every detail, every facial expression, and every reaction. Behind the scenes, the implications were clear. The leaked tape had consequences that extended far beyond the relationship itself. Professional relationships, public perception, and personal reputations were all on the line. The trust that had been broken wasn't just private, it had become a public spectacle. Every industry insider, fan, and peer was now watching, speculating, and preparing to weigh in on the unfolding drama. Despite the chaos, one thing remained undeniable. Young Jock had made his point. The act of kicking Kendra out was both a release of pent-up frustration and a powerful declaration of boundaries. It was a clear signal that certain lines, once crossed, could not be ignored. The dramatic confrontation, while painful, was a necessary moment of accountability, highlighting the consequences of betrayal and the importance of trust in relationships. The night ended with a tense stillness. Kendra, removed from the immediate conflict, was left to reflect on her actions and their fallout. Young Jock, while emotionally drained, felt a sense of clarity. Boundaries had been set, and the situation was now out in the open, leaving no room for ambiguity. Friends and family quietly processed the events, knowing that the story was far from over. Social media would continue to buzz, debates would rage, and the consequences of the leaked tape would linger, affecting not only the relationship, but the public personas of everyone involved. By the end of the night, one thing was clear. This was a defining moment in young Jock and Kendra's story. The leaked tape, the confrontation, and the decision to kick Kendra out had created a dramatic spectacle, one that would be remembered, analyzed, and debated for weeks to come. And while emotions were high and tensions remained, the stage was set for the next chapter of this explosive story, a chapter filled with reckoning, reflection, and the inevitable fallout from public betrayal. The morning after the explosive confrontation, the ripple effects of the leaked tape were impossible to ignore. Social media was flooded with clips, reactions, and heated debates. Fans were dissecting every detail of young Jock and Kendra's interaction, and opinions were divided. Some praised young Jock for taking a stand, while others speculated about Kendra's side of the story, wondering if there were underlying factors that led to the leak. But beyond the public speculation, the real tension remained deeply personal. Young Jock, despite the drama and humiliation, was determined to reclaim control over the situation. He knew that allowing emotions to dictate his next moves could make matters worse. Friends and family rallied around him, offering support and advice, emphasizing the importance of handling the aftermath with both firmness and strategy. He realized that every word he said, every action he took, and every public appearance would be analyzed, and the way he handled this period could define his reputation for months to come. Kendra, on the other hand, was grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. Guilt, shame, and frustration weighed heavily on her. She understood the severity of what had transpired, but struggled to manage both her personal feelings and the public scrutiny. Each time she glanced at her phone, she saw the extent of the exposure, the clips, the comments, the shares. It was a constant reminder that the private betrayal had transformed into a very public spectacle. The tension between young Jock and Kendra was far from over. Even after the initial confrontation, conversations or attempts at reconciliation were fraught with difficulty. Trust, once broken, is rarely repaired quickly, and the stakes in their relationship had become higher than ever. Young Jock's frustration was not just about the leaked tape itself, but about the deeper implications: the invasion of privacy, the betrayal of trust, and the public humiliation that accompanied it. In the midst of all this, industry insiders and friends were carefully watching how both parties would respond. Every post on social media, every public appearance, and every interview became a calculated move. Young Jock was deliberate in his approach. While his initial reaction had been raw and emotional, he quickly recognized the need to manage his public image and assert authority over the narrative. He didn't want to appear reactive or vulnerable, especially with fans and media closely watching. Kendra, meanwhile, found herself in an even more precarious position. The leaked tape had not only embarrassed young Jock, but had also affected her own image. She needed to respond in a way that acknowledged the gravity of the situation while attempting to maintain her dignity and credibility. Every interaction, every conversation, and every social media post was scrutinized, forcing her to navigate a complex web of personal responsibility and public perception. The fallout also began to affect those around them. Mutual friends were caught in the crossfire, facing pressure to take sides or offer support. Family members tried to mediate, but the intensity of the emotions and the public scrutiny made diplomacy nearly impossible. The incident had escalated beyond a private argument. It had become a spectacle, a story that everyone wanted to witness, analyze, and comment on. As the days went on, young Jock's stance remained firm. He made it clear to Kendra and everyone around him that certain boundaries could not be crossed. His decision to kick her out was more than just an emotional reaction. It was a clear statement of accountability and consequences. Trust, once broken, demanded tangible repercussions, and this act served as a turning point in asserting personal standards and limits. Meanwhile, Kendra had to confront the reality of her actions. The leaked tape was irreversible, and the fallout had permanently altered the dynamics of her relationship with young Jock. Beyond the immediate conflict, there were long-term implications for her reputation, relationships, and social presence. The realization that private matters had become public created a mixture of shame, regret, and strategic thinking. She knew that any attempt to navigate the situation required careful planning, honesty, and the ability to maintain composure in a highly charged environment. Public reaction continued to fuel the drama. Clips of young Jock confronting Kendra were shared endlessly, generating millions of views and sparking debates across platforms. Fans weighed in on every detail, speculating about the motives, the trust issues, and the future of the relationship. Social media became a battlefield where opinions clashed, alliances were debated, and the narrative continued to evolve. It was clear that the impact of the leaked tape extended far beyond the initial confrontation. It had created a cultural moment that could not be ignored. Despite the chaos, young Jock remained strategic. He focused on reclaiming the narrative, protecting his image, and maintaining control over how the story was perceived. He knew that reactions fueled by emotion could backfire, so he carefully measured every response, ensuring that his stance was clear, firm, and respected by those around him. It was a calculated approach that balanced strength with awareness, demonstrating his ability to handle even the most public and personal betrayals with authority. By the end of the week, the emotional and social fallout had settled into a tense equilibrium. Young Joss had asserted control, Kendra had been forced to confront the consequences, and fans and observers were left speculating about what would happen next. The leaked tape, the confrontation, and the subsequent fallout had reshaped their relationship, their reputations, and the way the public perceived both individuals. What had begun as a private betrayal had evolved into a public saga with lasting implications, leaving no one unaffected. And as the story continued to unfold, it became clear that the drama was far from over. Both young Jock and Kendra had lessons to learn, consequences to navigate, and reputations to manage. The stage was set for the next chapter, a chapter that promised more emotional intensity, public scrutiny, and shocking developments. The leaked tape had ignited a fire that would continue to burn, shaping their lives and the narrative of their relationship for weeks to come. The days following the explosive confrontation were tense, and the energy surrounding young Jock and Kendra's situation didn't show any signs of slowing down. Fans continued to dissect every clip from the night of the argument, debating motives, loyalty, and accountability. Social media feeds were flooded with posts, hashtags, and commentary, turning a private betrayal into a public spectacle. While the online frenzy raged, the two at the center of it had to navigate the emotional fallout in real life, and the challenges were immense. Young Jock, still reeling from the breach of trust, remained steadfast in his approach. The decision to kick Kendra out was more than an impulsive act of anger. It was a statement of boundaries and self-respect. He knew that allowing the leak to define him or bend his reactions to public opinion could weaken his position. In private conversations with close friends, he expressed that trust was non-negotiable, and the breach had not only hurt him emotionally, but had also placed both of their reputations at risk. His resolve was clear. The boundaries he set were permanent until proven otherwise. Kendra, meanwhile, had been reflecting intensely on the consequences of the leak. The embarrassment, the scrutiny, and the public questioning weighed heavily on her, but she also recognized the opportunity to regain control over her narrative. The emotional weight of being publicly shamed forced her to confront not only her actions, but also how she wanted to move forward. Every appearance, every statement, and every post became a calculated step toward repairing her reputation and understanding the dynamics that had led to this point. As the week progressed, the tension between them became more nuanced. It was no longer just about anger or betrayal. It had evolved into a test of emotional intelligence, maturity, and long-term consequences. Young Jock's friends advised caution, reminding him that while anger justified action, ongoing public confrontations could escalate further. He began to focus on controlling the narrative with measured responses rather than spontaneous outbursts, aiming to maintain dignity while still enforcing accountability. The media frenzy added another layer of pressure. Every outlet that picked up the story amplified the intensity, presenting it as both scandal and spectacle. Fans weighed in on the moral angles, debating who was right or wrong, and speculation about potential future interactions circulated constantly. The public scrutiny created an environment where both young Jock and Kendra had to balance personal emotions with strategic thinking, knowing that even a single misstep could be amplified into another viral moment. Kendra, despite the challenges, showed signs of resilience. While she had been publicly humiliated, she began to take steps toward controlling her image. Thoughtful statements, measured social media posts, and private conversations with trusted friends allowed her to demonstrate accountability without fueling further drama. This strategic approach slowly began to shift public perception, highlighting her composure and ability to navigate high-pressure situations. Meanwhile, young Jock's anger had started to evolve into determination. The initial emotional reaction had served its purpose, establishing boundaries and signaling that betrayal would not be tolerated. Now, he focused on how to protect himself moving forward, both personally and professionally. He considered the long-term implications for his reputation, relationships, and career, recognizing that this incident, while dramatic, also presented a chance to demonstrate strength, resilience, and clarity of values. The emotional complexity of the situation deepened as mutual friends and family became involved. Some tried to mediate, others inadvertently fueled the tension, and some simply observed from the sidelines. The interplay of opinions, advice, and pressure added layers of stress, making it clear that the fallout was far-reaching. Both young Jock and Kendra had to navigate this intricate web of personal, social, and professional considerations carefully, ensuring that every decision served both their emotional well-being and their public image. By the end of the second week, patterns began to emerge. Young Jock's stance remained firm, rooted in self-respect and the need for boundaries. Kendra's approach became more deliberate, emphasizing accountability and image repair. Social media chatter persisted, but it began to recognize the evolving strategies and subtle power shifts between the two. Fans started to notice that while the initial confrontation had been chaotic and emotional, both parties were now demonstrating more thoughtful, controlled responses, albeit from very different perspectives. The lessons from this experience were becoming clear. Betrayal, particularly when made public, carries consequences far beyond the immediate emotional pain. Trust, once broken, requires significant effort to rebuild, and public exposure amplifies every misstep. For young Jock, the act of kicking Kendra out was a defining moment that communicated boundaries and personal standards to both her and the world. For Kendra, the challenge was learning how to navigate personal accountability while managing public perception and personal growth. In the coming days, the story would continue to evolve. The leaked tape, the confrontation, and the public fallout had set the stage for a series of decisions, reflections, and possible reconciliations, or further conflicts. Fans remained invested, social media buzzed with speculation, and both young Jock and Kendra were under constant pressure to manage the consequences thoughtfully. The narrative had become more than just a personal argument. It was a story about trust, accountability, reputation, and the enduring impact of choices made under intense scrutiny. By the time the third week approached, it was clear that this dramatic chapter had lasting significance. The initial shock of the leaked tape and the confrontation had transformed into an ongoing saga, one that tested both personal boundaries and public image management. Young Jock's decisive actions, Kendra's struggle with accountability, and the public's insatiable interest created a dynamic that would continue to unfold, demonstrating the complex intersection of personal relationships, emotional resilience, and social media-driven fame. In conclusion, this story was more than just a breakup. It was a lesson in consequences, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking in the face of public scrutiny. Young Jock's decision to kick Kendra out communicated strength, boundaries, and accountability, while Kendra's navigation of the fallout revealed resilience and the effort required to regain trust. The leaked tape, while a source of drama, also became a catalyst for personal growth and public reflection. As fans watched, debated, and shared every moment, the story served as a vivid reminder that in the world of public relationships, every action has consequences, and how one responds defines not only the immediate moment, but also the long-term narrative. If you've been following this shocking story, then you already know this isn't just another celebrity fight. It's a full-blown spectacle filled with betrayal, heartbreak, and jaw-dropping reactions. Young Jock's decision to kick Kendra out after Kirk and Kendra's tape leaked has left fans in social media in absolute frenzy, and it sparked one of the most talked about confrontations in recent memory. But here's the thing, the story isn't over, and you don't want to miss a single detail. We want to know what you think. Was Young Jock completely justified in his reaction, or did he go too far by publicly kicking Kendra out? How do you feel about Kendra navigating this massive public embarrassment while trying to handle the fallout? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because your opinions matter and they could ignite some of the hottest debates around this story. Fans are taking sides, but the conversation isn't complete without your voice. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all the latest updates. By subscribing, you'll be the first to get insider details, behind-the-scenes insights, and updates on Young Jock, Kendra, and the entire fallout from the leaked tape. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a development. Trust us, things are moving fast and the next twist could happen any moment. If this story blew your mind, hit that like button. Each like shows us you want more in-depth coverage of celebrity drama and keeps you at the center of the hottest stories online. Share this video with your friends or on social media to make sure everyone sees what went down and joins the conversation. The more people involved, the bigger the discussion, and the more insights we can explore about this explosive situation. We also want to hear your predictions. Will Young Jock and Kendra try to reconcile, or is this the definitive end? Could there be more leaked content or shocking revelations coming? Comment your theories below. Some of you might be surprisingly accurate. Every comment, share, and reaction helps fuel this conversation and ensures that you're part of this dramatic saga as it unfolds. Finally, check out our other videos covering the most intense celebrity confrontations, shocking betrayals, and behind-the-scenes drama. This isn't just entertainment. It's a front-row seat to real-life celebrity chaos, and staying updated keeps you ahead of the game. Stories like this one are why fans keep coming back, eager to witness every shocking twist and turn. So hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments. Join the discussion, watch the drama unfold, and make sure you're there for every moment of this explosive story. The leaked tape, Young Jock's reaction, and the public fallout have set the stage for even more jaw-dropping events, and you can be part of it all from the beginning. Stay tuned because this story is far from over.